Welcome back to World Crisis Radio. Just a couple of other notes. The Republican presidential debate, not encouraging about the future of the United States. Who do we have? Gary Johnson. Gary Johnson says there should be no tariffs of any kind. Well, the Constitution says the Congress shall have the power to levy tariffs. So there's an attack on the Constitution. No corporate income tax of any kind, says Gary Johnson. No unemployment benefits of any kind. And he also says everything in government is a cost-benefit analysis. No, it's not. What about human life? What about other questions? National honor? What about other values? Is everything cost-benefit? If it's all cost-benefit, then human life has no value. Then you can do the kind of thing Obama does. You can say, well, your quality of life doesn't merit your getting these benefits. And then we have Santorum. He says Ryan is a softie. We want Medicare vouchers now, immediately. Good luck with that, Santorum. And defund Obamacare. This defund Obamacare. Repeal the individual mandate, sure. Repeal this IPAB, the Independent Payments Advisory Board. Transform it into Medicare for all for $100 a month or less if you're destitute. But you can see this is the vandalism approach, right? Try to use Obama as an excuse to attack Medicare and other programs. There's also Ron Paul has broad support among certain groups. His support in the Republican primaries last time about 5 to 6%. Let's engage in a debate on the issues here. Ron Paul is anti-war. That's good. Ron Paul is anti-dictatorship. But now we get into the economic realm and the social policy realm. There it becomes much more difficult. Ron Paul is not in favor of marriage laws by the states. Well, I would say no. The policy of states ought to be to encourage marriage, to encourage family formation, and to provide incentives to people who get married. In particular, state income taxes and federal income taxes should provide family allowances. The exemption for each child should be considerably increased. And it was the way to start cutting taxes and to increase the size of the standard deduction, in particular for married filing jointly, in particular then adding on the exemption side for each child, because the goal of this is there have to be people. People are not automatically there. The Austrian school doesn't ever account for where social reproduction occurs. This is not part of their purview, and this is a terrible flaw in that theory. Ron Paul also says that there should be no bans on marijuana, heroin, and prostitution. And I would have to say there again, no. The states and the federal government are well advised to ban marijuana, heroin, and prostitution, along with other dangerous practices such as child labor, in the interest of advancing civilization. This is not simply a Darwinian marketplace. There has to be a very clear choice of position that you might say to the people in the crowd, as Ron Paul did, I'm sure if heroin were legal that none of you would take it. Well, heroin or marijuana. But then I would have asked them, and how about your children? And how about relatives in your family? How about other people that you might care about? Can we be so sure that they will not fall prey to the marketing techniques, right, to this in schools and among young people? This, I think, is extremely dangerous as a social policy. Ron Paul also wants to cut the spending of the federal government by 50%. And we've often talked here about Brüning in Germany between 1930 and 1932. If we don't take the reparations into account, he cut the spending of the German federal government, the German central government, from about 10 billion Reichsmarks to about 8 billion Reichsmarks. That was the Brüning austerity, amounted to about 1/5 of all federal central government spending, and that, under those conditions, became then the immediate prelude to the collapse of the political system into the von Papen regime, which was essentially a military dictatorship of Hindenburg with von Papen as the political frontman, and then, of course, to the seizure of power by Hitler. If you were to cut the spending of the U.S. federal government by one half, I would submit that would lead, given the current political economic situation we have, to the breakdown of civilization as we've known it, and to social chaos, giving rise then either to continued chaos, to the breakup of the country, the kinds of things we're seeing abroad, warlords, criminal syndicates, and other things emerging, or an extremely draconian dictatorship, with the latter being more likely. I think ultimately, if you cut the spending of the federal government by one half, that is likely to lead then to a totalitarian dictatorship. Even though that's not the intent in this case, I think that is the obvious danger. Ron Paul also thinks that the U.S. government has defaulted 3 times. Well, let's be precise. The United States government has never defaulted. The Treasury has never defaulted on specific payments coming due on specific Treasury bills, notes, and so forth. Ron Paul thinks that in the Civil War, in the post-Civil War era, there was a promise by the United States government to pay money that had been lent as greenbacks, and was people that bought U.S. bonds with greenbacks, that they wanted to get that back in gold. And ultimately that was done. That is known as the crime of 1873. That is the Specie Resumption Act and the Coin Act, which was known, and I'm speaking here in my capacity as a populist of the Populist Party, the crime of 1873, the Coin Act and the Specie Resumption Act, that was the cross of gold. That was the big objection by people to saying, well, we find that we farmers, in particular, at the Omaha Convention of 1890, find that our debts are getting more and more onerous, and our prices are going down, 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 and we're being crushed. And this was one of the ways in which the frontier was closed before the central Great Basin and so forth were ever populated. It was a way to shut down the growth of family farms in that area by squeezing them through gold. And that was the main issue of the populists. You had the Greenback Party who wanted the issue of greenbacks. You had the pre-silver people who wanted silver. This was the typical Western demand. And then you had the populists who wanted some combination of that. The main issue being to fight deflation, that the deflation associated with the restoration of the gold standard was a very bad thing. In the 1930s, of course, Roosevelt went off the gold standard. That was exactly the right thing to do. That was because the British, with Ramsay MacDonald and Montague Norman, were using the gold standard. As Keynes said, this was the curse of Midas, as he called it, right? That the countries that stayed on the gold standard were getting hit by the Depression more than those who went off, like the British. So it was essential to respond to that kind of economic warfare. Certainly what happened 40 years ago this August, Nixon destroying the Bretton Woods system, was a bad thing. But in this case, the gold was being used as a settlement mechanism among central banks. That, in that case, it should have been maintained, but that still doesn't add up to the Treasury ever defaulting on a specific commitment to make a payment. And that is what is being considered now. So this is, with all due respect, a historical novelty. In other words, it is a novum. This has never happened up to now. So I think the debate on economics will have to go on. Now, in terms of Greece, got a request to say something about Greece, and I will try to. Not much time left today, but I think you can look at the following things. There was an interesting roundtable on France 24 this past week with people like Marcus Kerber of the Technical University in Berlin. We had Raquel Garrido of the French Left Party, the Parti de Gauche, and we had Greek economist Yanis Varoufakis. And what comes out of all this? I would say the following things. First of all, the euro is irreversible. Now I see we've run out of time. We'll have to get to this next time. The euro is irreversible in this sense. If you had the D-mark emerging out of the breakup of the euro, that would be driven so high in value that all German exports would be destroyed. If you had the drachma coming out of it, that would be driven so low that the country would go into hyperinflation. So you're going to have to fight the speculators sooner or later. So why not fight them now? Why not agitate against speculators rather than against the euro? Fight the speculators now. Ban credit default swaps. Put the Wall Street sales tax, the Tobin tax on these transactions, and fight. And I'll get back to this next time around. In the meantime, keep up with it at Tarpley.net and Webster G. Tarpley.